So Warren, I'm gonna ask you some very pointed questions. I mean, just straight out. The first thing I want to ask you is, did you kill Nolan? All right, Warren. We had a chance to get to know each other over the last 2 days. We went out to Horn Island, so I've had an opportunity to talk to you about a few things, and the things that you've told me have literally blown my mind. But the world haven't had a chance yet to hear your story, to hear Nolan's story through you, through his friend. And it's not just you, it's a bunch of y'all. But, you know, some of the other guys were afraid because of the threats and the violence that's been threatened against their lives and all of the above. But you decided that you wanted to take this bold step and give a statement and, you know, get your side out here. And I want to start at the very beginning of all of this and ask you, what was your relationship like with Nolan? Who was he to you?
Nolan, I could describe Nolan in a million ways. I mean, Nolan was not just a best friend of me, but he was a brother. I grew up through elementary, middle school, high school, and even our freshman year of college. You know, we talked on the phone all the time. We were really close friends. And I mean, Nolan was like a brother to me. And Nolan lit up every room he walked in. He always had a smile on his face. He always had something good to say. I've never seen Nolan get in an argument with somebody and say bad things about someone. You know, there's a lot of people that talk crap nowadays, and Nolan was never that person. Sweetest soul ever. And I mean, I had a great relationship with Nolan. I've never got in an argument with Nolan. We were super close, and I've never said or will ever have anything bad to say about Nolan Wells.
Yeah, and you guys, you said you kind of grew up together. Mm-hmm. Did you know his mom, or how was that? Because I saw in the media where it appears that she may have said, at least I saw in part, that she said as if she didn't know any of you guys.
Right. Well, Nolan a lot of the times was at like my house and at my buddy's house. We never went to Nolan's house and hung out. I mean, and my friend group's very, very tight knit. I mean, we hang out every day when we're back home from school. In high school, we hung out most weekdays and every day on the weekend. And I mean, we were never at Nolan's house, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But I met his father, and I mean, in 8th grade, that's when Nolan and I like got really close. It was COVID year, and we were in class all year long together, me and a couple of my buddies, and Nolan and I just got super tight because we'd get a Waffle House once a week together, eat, and I mean, we were just super, super close. But his dad would swing by Waffle House, you know, and like, you know, hang out around us, but never. You know, I was never around Nolan's parents a lot, but I mean, that didn't change our relationship any. Nolan and I were still just as close, and he was just as close with my friends as, you know, anyone else. So.
And walk me through the day of 4th of July where you guys were all going out.
Right.
This seems like something that I would assume that may have occurred more than just this year.
Yeah, of course.
Was it something that you guys did more than just this year? It's a 2-part question. I want to know, is it something that you guys typically did together, that you hang out often in this fashion? And then I want you to then walk me through 4th of July this year when the incident happened.
Okay. You know, being from the Gulf Coast, there's a boating and fishing is very, very popular. The 4th of July, every year, my friends and I, or my family and I, are out on the water. I mean, that's the one day is guaranteed everybody's going out. And that's a known thing. Everybody's trying to get a ride out to Horn Island, or, you know, people go to Ship Island, but most of everybody from Ocean Springs and the Gulf Coast go to Horn Island. I mean, this was a common thing. My friends go on the boat when we're home. Very, very common. That's what we like to do. My friends like to fish also, and like to go on the boat, not just fishing, but like to go on the boat, like to go on sunset cruises, like to do it all, you know, on the water, you know? And I mean, Nolan loved to do that too. I mean, he was not like he was just like everyone else in our friend group. He loved to go on the water and, you know, have a good time with the guys. And that's what we did a lot. But 4th of July, everybody was out there. Like I said, like Nolan was always trying to go on the boat, trying to go out there with us. And he was always welcome to come. Nolan was always out there with us. And, but started 4th of July, you know, my buddies and I had talked about this week's upcoming, you know, everybody's very, very excited for the 4th of July from down here. Like it's a big thing.
It's a big deal.
Very, very big deal. And I mean, I actually stayed with Nolan that night at my buddy's house, and I woke up at my buddy's house, and we went to McDonald's, got food. Nolan was not with me, and I went and got breakfast. I had my buddy's boat hooked up to my truck, and well, first I ran to my house, then I went to McDonald's and came back, and the boat was already hooked up to my truck. My buddy Wyatt and I went, and with my buddy, and we went, topped the boat off, loaded it down with ice, and just got everything ready. Then Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach, and I drove the boat from Fort Bayou Boat Launch to my buddy's grandparents' house, and that's where we all planned to meet up that day. And
you say we all, who you talking about? You, Nolan, and how many people are going to meet you guys there?
we had roughly 20 to 30 people coming on 3 separate boats with us. And so we were all following each other out there as one big group. You know, it wasn't just me and Nolan and a couple other of my buddies. There was 20 or 30 people spread out where we all met at the dock before, and then we departed to go to Horn Island. It wasn't just a couple of us. I mean, there were so many people, we had to split up between 3 boats, and we all left and all got there at the same time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that's clear, because the statements that are out there made it appear that it was just you, Nolan, and probably 2 or 3 other guys, and y'all are the only ones that went out to this island.
And that's completely incorrect. I mean, Horn Island on the 4th of July is the most popular day to be on the water on, you know, throughout the entire Gulf Coast. I mean, everybody and their mom is on the water on 4th of July, you know. There's no telling. I mean, roughly probably 2 to 3, maybe even 4,000 people out there. There were boats lined up off the island. I mean, there was 3 rows of boats all the way until my vision ended, until I could see of people from, I mean, there was 1 row of boats, and then there was another row of boats, and then there was a 3rd row of boats.
Yeah.
I mean, there was people lined up all up and down the island to where, I mean, who knows? I mean, and that wasn't just, we were parked on the north side, on the west tip. It wasn't just there. I mean, there's tons of people packed out on the south side and on the east end and in the middle of the island. But just where we were, I mean, there was easily 1,000 people. It wasn't just us.
Let's go back a little bit. I want to go back to you guys at the dock, getting on the boat. You're saying there's multiple people, probably 20 or 30 people getting on 3 boats.
Right.
What boat were you on, and what boat was Nolan on?
Nolan was on Wyatt Pyron's 22 Triton. On the way out, I went with my buddy Bart, because we had a lot of friends from college coming down, and I called Bart that morning. I was like, hey man, can you take your boat out? And he was like, yeah, well, my dad's decided not to go, and I'll take the boat, and I'll take you and your friends. Of course. I mean, he's a buddy of mine. And so Bart pulled up at the dock, and I mean, I rode out there with Bart and a lot of the girls that go to college with my friends and I, and Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys on that. There was like 8 people on the Triton, and then there was 8 or 9 people on the Triton, and then there was the rest of the group, which was ranged from maybe 10 to 15 or 16 people on my buddy's tide line, which is 24 tide line.
And so you guys get on, and I know a little bit more than the audience do, because we went out there a little earlier, because I wanted to see exactly what the drive was like, what the dock was like, how far it is out there.
Of course.
But I want you to tell, the audience, like, what was this trip like? How was the waters? Did you guys do anything in between the time you rode and the time you get to the island? Was there music? Is it like a big party? Like, what is that?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously music's blasting. It's 4th of July, man. I mean, you know how, I mean, everybody's really excited. And I mean, we had a lot of people loaded down. So obviously our biggest, we're just trying to make sure everybody, gets out there safe. And so, I mean, on the way out there, it was pretty calm. I think it was blowing like 3 or 4 knots. I mean, the waters were clear. It was a great day to be on the water. Sunshine. not cloudy at all. And I mean, it was a great day to be out there on 4th of July. And so, I mean, we followed each other out, and I mean, it was calm. It was calm. On the way back, it was a little more rough, but it was not anything all my buddies' boats couldn't handle, or like it wasn't like we were getting really beat up or anything. I mean, it was pretty calm.
And so you guys get out there. I'm assuming that you line the boats up, because I'm envisioning the picture of getting out there and there's hundreds of boats. Mm-hmm. There's thousands of people. Yeah. So it wasn't just you guys on a deserted island with
of course not
a few people. This is thousands of people out there.
Right.
And there's a lot of people doing what? What does it look like when you first pull up?
I pull up, and we pulled up at 10:30. I mean, it wasn't, early afternoon. I mean, it wasn't, but 10:30 is, still pretty early in the day. And when we got there was already 3 rows of boats lined up all the way, like I said, until I could see. And
you're talking, when you say all you can see, you're speaking about miles.
Yeah.
Of boat. When we went out there earlier, or not earlier today, but when we went out there, the island is massive.
Correct.
I mean, it's just several miles long.
Roughly 10 to 12 miles. I mean, it's.
So do you think that the boats were stretching from one end to the next, or just a small area of about a mile or less than a mile of boats?
Well, I mean, I think there was boats all the way around the entire island, but I think some spots were more popular than others. Like the West Tip is usually very, very crowded on the 4th of July, and everybody knows that. So that's where a lot of people park, because they want to be around other people. And the East End's a little more, there's not as many people, but there's still a lot of boats out there. I mean, it's not like every area of Horn Island was covered 100%.
Wow. So you get out there, y'all jump out. What do? When I say jump out, you're obviously not just sitting on the boat. The island is there. Like, what exactly are people doing there? Like, are you spending more time in the water, on the island, in the boat? Like, how is that look out there?
I mean, everybody, as soon as you get there, I mean, there's people on boats, grabbing drinks and, food, whatever else. Everybody is fully prepared for the 4th of July. They bring, all the drinks and food that they need, because, they've been preparing for 4th for a little while now. But when we got there, I helped my buddies tie the boats up, because the tie line was right here, the Palm Beach was in the middle, and then the Triton was on the outer side. And there was about a drop off from where the bow was. I mean, if you jumped off the bow, you were probably about neck deep in water. But if you got off the stern, you were probably waist deep in water. But when we got there, we tied up, got, bow and rear anchor set, and we tied up all the boats, made sure they were good, and everyone just got on the water. And then eventually, next thing you know, it's our group. And then, next thing you know, there's 50 other people around us. And then it just grew and grew as the day came on. And, that's just how it was. Everybody's drinking, it's 4th of July. Everyone's just trying to enjoy themselves. And, it's a big party, basically. Big party.
Yeah, so y'all pretty much having a good time. Just like anybody would imagine, 18-year-olds, probably 20-year-olds, college students, out on the island, women, you probably had alcohol. Y'all having a good time.
Yeah, of course.
And so where's Nolan in this? You guys out there, the friend groups are out there, 3 boats full of people that came out there that seem to be the closest friend group.
Right.
Where's Nolan in this in comparison to where you and others are at?
Well, I had a couple conversations with Nolan that day, and I talked to him and a couple of my other buddies. They in a group. I was not focused on anyone solely, like looking and pointing anyone out, because there's so many people out there. I was talking to my friends that I haven't seen in a while from high school. I was talking from people I knew from college. I was talking to, everybody my age, and even people older than us were, over there. It was just a regular thing. We're all used to this. We've been out to the islands before. My buddies don't just go out to the island on 4th of July, but they go out, every weekend. Like, I fish the islands. I don't just, fish around Horn Island. I fish around Ship Island too. So I'm very familiar with the islands. And I feel like it was just a big, I talked to Nolan, and, Nolan was drinking. Everybody was drinking, most of everybody. And Nolan seemed completely fine every time I talked to him. We had just regular conversations, and, Nolan was making me laugh. I had a couple conversations with Nolan and Javon, Nolan and my buddy James, Nolan. And I could tell you, I talked to Nolan a couple times, but it wasn't like I was strictly sitting there talking to Nolan the whole day. I mean, there was hundreds of people I knew out there. So
Yeah. And Nolan said something interesting. You told me about this. I don't know if you want to share it, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
He said something really unique.
Yeah.
Specifically, something he said to you, I would say would be indicative of y'all's friendship.
Right.
And then he also mentioned something to you about that particular day and what it meant to him.
Right.
And could you share that?
Right. Yeah. So Nolan and my buddy Javon are talking, and I grew up with Nolan, and Nolan's just like I said, like just so joyful, like always happy. Like every picture I have with Nolan or picture I have of Nolan, he's smiling. I mean, like he's always happy. If I always need like a shed of light, I'm calling Nolan, And Nolan and I laugh and joke a lot. Like that's how our friend group is. We're really jokingly laugh. No one takes anything that serious. We enjoy our time together. I mean, there's never any awkwardness within our friend group. We're very, very tight. So if I ever need to get something off my chest or talk to anybody, I'm talking to all my friends. I'm not just talking to like specifically anybody. I would go out, like even if I'm having issues with something, I go talk to my group chat, and my guys are there to, give me a hand anytime I need it. And all my guys are, all my buddies are the same exact way. Nolan was the same exact way. If you ever need something, I'm here, man. Like that's how he was. So
we're in Mississippi right now. We're getting ready to recount the exact path that the boys took, also with Nolan Wells, from where they docked the boat at all the way out to Horn Island and back. The boys are going to explain to me exactly what went on, how many people were there, how many boats were taken out, which I think the world is going to be completely dumbfounded when they realize what the truth really is, because the lies have been pervasive. So we're right here where Nolan left on the boat, and you'll find out how many people were there, how many boats, and then we're going to take that same path out. I'm going to go look at Horn Island and see exactly where they could have been to get a perspective that the media don't even care to try to do. And then we're going to take the trek back, and we're going to find out exactly what happened to Nolan. This is the reason why I'm here, man. I want you guys to have a voice. I want you guys to be able to speak out and show what the truth really is, and then let the world decide. I just don't want you guys to end up in a situation where your story never gets heard. Right here is where Nolan and probably 20 other kids got on the boat. So it's not just Nolan and 3 other kids. That was a lie, that was a myth. I'm gonna prove that. Right here is where the kids were docking, and we're gonna show you a video that coincided. I'm gonna walk at the exact angle that the video is being broadcast from, so you know that I'm exactly where I say I am. But the boys were here. Tons of people you'll see on the video is getting onto the boat, and they took 3 boats out. It wasn't just one, it wasn't just Nolan and 4 boys. It was a multitude of people on several different boats. And some of the boys that they're accusing wasn't even on the boat that Nolan was on. But let me show you from the vantage point where I have the video to prove that I'm here where I say I am. And so right now, here's the angle that you're gonna see on the footage. It's just from probably that boat to, maybe about 30, 40 feet here to the right. And this is where the video is showing how many people were actually out there, actually getting on the boats. So therefore it debunks very clearly that it was only Nolan and 4 boys going out here to Horn Island. All right, you guys, sorry about the sunglasses. It's very bright out here, and I never wear sunglasses, but we're at Horn Island in almost the exact same position where the boys were, where Nolan was. So if you look out right here, just so you guys can get a perspective, you have the Horn Island here, but I want you guys to put this in your mind, what this was like on that day. You have boats 2, 3, 4 deep, from way down there where you can see all the way through here. You have thousands of people on this island, probably 2,000 people. So this wasn't some abandoned, secluded island where nobody's at. Obviously this is a Monday, and there's a few people on the backside of the island, not a lot of people here. But on 4th of July, this is a celebration. And so this wasn't a small place where 4 boys took their black friend and dropped him off and never seen him again. This place was flooded with people. Tons of people, multiple boats, multiple friend groups. I mean, everybody's here having a good time. And then the boat gets towed out because it was getting ready to sink. And so, and from what I was told, they told Nolan, get on the boat, man, get on the boat. Get on the freaking boat. And he decided, because he's an adult, that he was gonna stay behind. And all the boys that they've been accusing, and they saying it had something to do with his death, they were all gone at 4:30. They were all gone. And they told Nolan to get on the boat, he didn't. And then there was a report of somebody seeing Nolan around 6:30-ish. And so for them to come out and claim these lies, won't take the time to come to Horn Island, won't take the trip out here to figure out what happened, won't talk to anybody, pushing an agenda is wrong. And that's the reason why I came out here. I wanted to see for myself, what did this look like? What could have happened? You know, does the stories line up based on what I've seen and what I've heard from people that live here that were involved in this situation? This is where the lie started. People were putting out on social media, knowing that they're lying, that this is what it was like on a day that Nolan and his friends came out here to Horn Island. And if it was 4 or 5 people and they came out here and Nolan was with them and maybe it was a few people out here like it is today, and Nolan came up missing, then maybe it would be suspicious. But they didn't take the time to give context to the people because they're evil and they're liars. So if it was like that right now, when the situation happened, I can see how people had a concern. But you gotta replay this moment with thousands of people here. If anything would have happened directly involving Nolan and his friends, you can't tell me that thousands of people wouldn't have seen anything happen. And so that's pretty much why I want to come here and show you guys. This is what they want you to believe it was like on that day, which is a lie. They want you to believe they came to a secluded island, just 4 of them, and then Nolan is left behind, and then his body's washed up on shore, and nobody knows what happened. Nobody could have seen what happened but the boys. It's a flat out lie. Is there anything that you want to say, you want people to know about this whole experience?
Yeah, I mean, from someone, if someone's not from here, it's kind of hard to understand, you know, where the island drops off and how the island works. But, you know, there's plenty of people out here, especially on the 4th of July, you know, this is where people come out to celebrate. And I mean, if you film the water, you could see right here, Brandon, where it drops off. I mean, you could see literally where it drops off. So, I mean, it goes from about waist deep water right there to neck deep. And then it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile out the island and when we were leaving, and I mean, it was 30 foot of water.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're walking towards the east right now, but if you walk down to the west, that's where the west tip of the island is, and that's where the current picks up very, very bad.
People talk about the phone situation. I want to, because the way you articulate it, I just walked in the water with my pants, they're wet, and you can tell right away that if you're hanging out in the water, it doesn't appear, in my opinion, that you would have your phone on you. Is that typical for people to have their phones, or?
No, I mean, people come out here, especially on the 4th and, you know, Memorial Day, like, you know, days like that, they come out here to celebrate, and people get on the water to be off their phones, first off. Second off, if I'm sitting waist deep in water, and all my friends are, everybody's leaving their phone on a boat, in a lake, you know, if you're sitting on a pond, if no one's getting out of the water with their phone in their hand, unless, you know, it's to take a quick picture. But most of the pictures taken on the 4th of July were on the boat. Yeah. I mean, and, you know, saltwater, if you drop your phone in saltwater, most of the time you're not going to get it back. Yeah. I mean, you know, especially the water's murky right now because there's been a lot of rain. You can't see, the visibility isn't good. The water isn't clear like it was last year around this time. And, you know, like, no one has their phone though, usually. I mean, unless you're crazy, I'm not walking around with my phone in my hand. They've been walking around Horn Island, you know.
How many people left the phone on the boat? Was it just his phone when y'all left, or I mean, other people have phones on the boat?
Absolutely not. Like, there was at least, well, I rode out here on a different boat, like I told you, and I grabbed my phone when I left the Palm Beach to get on the boat with Triton. I mean, to get on the boat with Wyatt because we were having, you know, boat issues. And when I got on the boat, there was phones everywhere on the console. I mean, everywhere. Like, I mean, there was everybody's phone that was sitting around the boat was on the console. Like, we had phones that we didn't even know whose they were, you know, and people just leave their phone, especially when people are drinking and, you know, they're not in the right state of mind. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll just leave my phone and I'll get it later, you know? And that's the way it is around here. You know, you don't take your phone and walk around the island. You know, there's plenty of phones on the boat and, you know, spread out between the 3 boats that we had. And I mean, we had 20 plus people on the spread between our 3 boats. So of course, everybody's phone was on the boat. I never saw someone in the water that day sitting with their phone in their hand, scrolling on anything or even taking pictures in the water. Yeah, someone might hop out the boat. You know, a lot of girls like to take pictures, you know, in the water. And so do guys, but, you know, girls want to take pictures in the water. Half a second, you might hop out the boat and be like, oh, I'm snapping this picture of myself or of someone else. But as soon as I get back in the boat, I'm putting my phone up and I'm getting back in the water and I'm hanging out with my friends.
Yeah, that's just common sense, man. I mean, and describe to me what the day was like. I saw a video online. How hectic was it out here? I mean, right now it's barren. There's not a lot of people out here. But clearly that's not what it was on the 4th of July. So, like, how dense was it with people here?
Well, I mean, you look at all the videos, you know, that are spread out online, and a lot of them, you know, you can't believe what you see all the time online. You know, you know that better than anybody. But, I mean, there was boats lined up all the way down the island, and there was rows. There was a first row, there's a second row. We were in the 3rd row where it drops off, and then there was even boats in front of us. And this went all the way down towards the east end of the island, and then there was people on the east tip, and we're on the north side now, but there was people on the south side too, lined up all the way down. And if you talk to anybody on the coast about this, they know that. I mean, 4th of July, this is the hot spot. This is where people want to be. This is where people want to come out, hang out with their family and friends. And
people say that you guys just left Nolan behind. I've seen reports of people saying that you just left him. I see reports of people saying that you asked him to get on the boat. You told him to get on the boat, he didn't. What's the truth in that?
Well, Wyatt was having boat issues and the bilge wouldn't pump. So the bilge is basically a pump that releases water from your boat when water comes in. So I opened the back hatch and there's water up to the batteries. And that is obviously not good. There's water almost coming over the transom, which is where your motors sit and which is the, you know, by the stern, like in the back part of the boat. So obviously we were in emergency. The boat, we're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with. And the girl is a witness to that too.
Yeah. I'm glad you cleared that up because I think it's important for people to have the context of like what it was on that day, what happened, what didn't happen. And the beauty of all of this is that you guys have evidence to prove that you asked Nolan to come on and different things like that. So, but anyway, man, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
You know, giving me a rundown of kind of what it was like on that day. And hopefully people can understand what the truth is and make their own decision on facts.
I mean, based off like, you know, there's not a lot of people that are from the Mississippi Gulf Coast that don't understand Horn Island and don't understand the way boating works. And, you know, boating is a tight-knit community. I like to fish a lot and, you know, there's, you know, a lot of people know a lot of people. Everybody knows everybody. I know a lot of fishermen on the Gulf Coast. They know me and my buddies because we like to go in the water all the time. I mean, that's what we do in the summer. And, I mean, a lot of people from the Gulf Coast know the truth behind, oh, you don't take your phone out the boat. You know, the little facts. It's a difficult subject. This Horn Island's like 11 miles long, you know, not to be exact, but around 11 miles long. It's not like this is a sliver of an island, it's a quarter mile. It's like a sandbar. No, this goes on to, even if we came around this corner right here, Brandon, we couldn't even see the end of the island.
Oh, really?
It is that long.
Really?
Yeah, I mean.
I thought that was the end right there.
No. I mean, it goes all the way down there, and I mean, it's a big island. There's a lot of people out here, and I mean, that's the truth. That's the way it was. I mean, Nolan was like a brother to me. Nolan lit up every room he walked in. 4th of July, everybody was out there. Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys on that. The rest of the group, which was ranged from maybe 10 to 15 or 16 people on my buddy's tide line.
Yeah, so y'all pretty much having a good time. And then you guys get ready to leave prematurely.
Right.
And like, explain that, because you guys got there around 10.
Yeah.
It's now 4:30.
Right.
people are still out there partying and
Correct.
they're having a good time, but something happened to where it necessitated you guys to get the boat up and running. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So I had a girl come up to me and say, "Hey, your brother just got in a fight." And obviously I have a younger brother, and that's who she was talking about. And I was freaked out. So I walked over to the beach, and I didn't walk over. I ran over. I made a beeline. I didn't talk to anybody. Put my drink down and walked over there. And my brother was kind of angry, and there was a lot going on, but someone was getting pulled away. I don't know who it was. And my brother was like, "Oh, I just got in a fight, and this guy punched me in the face," and I punched him right back. And then went to the ground, and my brother put him in an arm bar. And
Was Nolan involved in any of this?
absolutely not. When I was over there was a bunch of younger guys like my brother's age, and I mean, Nolan. I never saw Nolan over there. Yeah. Absolutely not. And but
so you get ready to go. There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
And this is
well,
what
this led up to that. That's what I was saying.
So the fight happened with your brother, or a little scuffle.
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming that it was cleared up.
You're right.
You got your brother out of that situation, and then how did you find out that this boat is sinking?
Well, I walk back over, and like we're probably around each other for a little bit. I mean, I wasn't thinking anything of it. I told my brother, I pulled my brother off the beach, and I was just like, "Listen, get in the water, hang out with us, calm down." I mean, he was calm, but I didn't want anything else to happen, And so once I got back over to the boat, I got on the Triton, and the Triton had probably about 6 inches of water up to the transom. And I was freaked out because I'm good friends with Wyatt, and that was his boat. And, no water's coming out, no access water's coming out. And, it was a big issue because I think the reason was because there were so many people getting on and off the boat. And at some point, the boat was very, very crowded, and there was just a lot of people on. So that it drags water in. And eventually, I think over time, we were out there for a couple hours. The boat just started filling up with water. So I popped the starboard side hatch, and the battery was completely underwater. And so the motor wouldn't trim down. I mean, my buddy would go to trim it down from the console, and it'd trim down, and then it'd come right back up. And so Wyatt's trying to throw a rear anchor, so we're caught, and he's, yelling at people. Everybody's kind of freaking out. And eventually I'm like yelling at other people, trying to tell them, calm down. Like, the boat could possibly sink, and I'm not paying attention to everyone around me. I was paying attention to my buddy's boat. And that's what all my other friends that were on that boat were doing, trying to solve the problem.
So you're on the boat now. The water is getting up to the point where the boat may be disabled to where you couldn't get it out from Horn Island. So what happens after that?
Wyatt jumps to the water, tries to throw a rear anchor, and my buddy and I are sitting, looking, trying to pull trash out the bilge. And the bilge is basically a pump that pulls the water, the excess water out the boat. So the bilge was failing to work. So any excess water was just sitting in the boat. It wasn't getting pumped out. And I looked over the gunnel, and I looked at the release hole for the bilge, and it was even with the water. So, I mean, we're all freaking out. All of our, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat. Well, then eventually my buddy Bart on the tide line is like, "I'm going to pull y'all out to where we're out of all this, all this chaos." Because we left at 4:30, and there were still just as many people there, if not more, than when we got there. I mean, probably around the same amount. I mean, it was crazy. Like, there was a lot of people. And, I mean, eventually Bart pulls us out. We left at 4:30, but we really weren't pulled out away from everybody. We were probably about a quarter mile out, and we had the towing strap pulled from, Bart's port side cleat or starboard side cleat, and he was on our starboard side bow. And so it was rubbing on his power pole. So Bart turned around, pulled up next to our boat, and we were just trying to get it situated. So that's when Wyatt called Sea Tow. And Wyatt was like, calls them, because the cell service isn't great at the island, but once you can use your phone, but stuff might not just send, and it's not great. You got maybe one bar, and it won't work that well. But once you get a little off the island, you have cell coverage, and even on the island, like I called my mom when we were on the island. It was fine. Like we had enough cell coverage to make a phone call or shoot a text over, but you don't have enough cell coverage to like send a picture, for example. So what?
So I want to go back.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I want to touch on that real quick, because the phone thing came up at some point.
Uh-huh.
And so was it when you guys got off the boat?
Yeah.
I mean, were people taking their phones off the boat, or is that not typical? Because I know that Nolan's phone was left on the boat,
Right.
even though after you guys had left. So can you explain that? Because I think people need to understand this a little clearer.
Yeah.
Was it typical for people to have their phones left on boats, or did they keep their phones in the water? Or?
Yeah. I mean, everybody kind of goes out to the island to get away from, their phones and everything else. I know I got on the boat to get away from, just the regular world. And no, when you're waist deep in water, no one's carrying their phone in their hand. Especially at Horn Island, the water has been very, very murky because of the rain. And it's just very risky. If you're gonna have your phone in the water, some people might for a couple minutes and like maybe taking some pictures of each other. I know a lot of girls like to take pictures in the water at Horn Island. Guys do too. Like people like to take pictures, and but a lot of the pictures you see are on the boat for a reason. And so, no, if someone is on their phone in the water, they're using it real quick and then putting it right back on the boat. We were all waist deep in water. No one's sitting there scrolling on their phone. I never saw that once. And I've never seen that once. And I've been out the Highland my whole life. That's just not something people do. People aren't on their phones. And everybody has their phone, yes, but it's always on the boat. No one's getting off the boat with their phone. So.
And so you guys get ready to leave out of there, getting towed out.
Yeah.
And then where's Nolan in this situation?
Well, the last time I saw Nolan was 3:00, and Nolan was cradling a girl in his arms, Katie, Katie. And Katie, Nolan was sitting there, and the last time I saw him, I looked at Nolan, and Nolan was like shaking his head, laughing, and I was like, dude, you crazy. I was like just joking with him. And, but anyway, Nolan, that was the last time I laid eyes on him. But when we were leaving, obviously, no one is getting left at the island that came with us unless they demanded to, be there and asked, this is a very common thing at Horn Island. When you're out there, a lot of people ride out there with someone and in with somebody else all the time. I've done that 100 times. It's a very common thing, but Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And like, no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat. Get on the boat. We're leaving. If you're coming, you got to come now. And Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island. And like he said,
how many people heard that? Were there
at least
just a
5
few, or?
Everyone that was on our boat right there, because the Palm Beach had already left. My buddy went ahead and went home on the Palm Beach, and 3 guys on the way back. And Nolan wasn't the only person to ride out there with us and in with somebody else. We had multiple people in our group that rode out with us and rode in on someone else's boat. And that, like I said, that's not an uncommon thing to do, a lot of people do that. I could name probably 50 people out there that day that ran out with somebody and ran back in with somebody else. So, it's not like it's an uncommon thing, but it's not like we just left him there, or my friends just left him there. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island after my friends asked him multiple times and told him to get on the boat, and he decided to stay.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody.
Yeah.
that she heard people yelling
Correct.
for Nolan to get on. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking, and everybody's texting Katie, because she was obviously seen with Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, this is the last time I saw him. He's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat. And she was right there to see that Nolan decided not to.
Yeah, and so you guys get in the boat, you start to get towed in, and you make it back. Now, explain how did you get to the point where you were concerned about Nolan? Because obviously you said, "Hey, Nolan, y'all need to," or somebody, not
When
you,
did I get
but
to that point?
you guys had made mention Nolan needed to get on a boat.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Yeah.
You guys get back to wherever you're going.
Right.
Explain that. Did you guys go back to somebody's house, or you
Right.
guys like what happened there? And then when did you feel like, well, wait a minute, where's Nolan?
Right. Okay. Well, running in was very chaotic. I mean, Nolan chose to stay on the island, so my focus wasn't on anything else other than the boat, because if the boat doesn't get in, then no one gets in. I don't want to sink out there on my buddy's boat, and no one does. But my buddy Wyatt jumped out and pulled the plug on the boat once we kind of got out there, because he got the motor to trim down. And the motor trimmed down, my buddy Wyatt pulled the plug, and we planed off. We moved all the weight to the front of the boat so we could plane off. And eventually we planed off, and the boat was running. So when you're planed off and you have water in the boat and you're hauling, we're going pretty fast. We're going probably 40, 42 miles an hour. And so all that excess water that was built up in the boat is coming out of the boat. So, I mean, that's what we had to do. So we ran into Fort Bayou, and we didn't just run straight to my buddy's grandparents' house. We ran into Fort Bayou. A couple of us jumped in the water, and Wyatt, the whole reason for the stop was so Wyatt could hop in and put the plug back in the boat. So then after that, we went and docked it, and I went back to my buddy's house, and we ate and napped for a little bit. It was a long day at the island, so we were all tired. And eventually we go over to a girlfriend of mine. She was having people over for 4th of July. We were doing like fireworks and stuff, so we all went over there to swim and hang out. And
this infamous picture that I've seen online of Nolan in the water in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Where is this picture associated with? Because you said you guys went back to swim. Nolan wasn't with you.
Yeah.
So where is this picture at? Like,
Right.
what's the context around that picture that's
Right.
been floating?
That picture is taken on June 27th, a week before the 4th of July. We all went to a friend of ours in Pass Christian. We have a lot of friends from Bay St. Louis and Pass Christian. We all went over there to hang out, and
And Nolan was in that picture.
Nolan was in that picture. And if you look in the picture, my arm is around Nolan in that picture, And I mean, that was a week before the 4th of July. So that picture is not associated within even the same. I mean, that was like a week before. So, yeah.
So you guys are now at swimming and having a good time at a lady friend's house.
Right. I never got to the pool. I talked to her dad for a while.
Okay.
And I mean, all my friends were downstairs. I went upstairs, talked to her dad. We were talking about boats and stuff. And, I've been with my friends all day. I was just talking to everybody. But
So you talked to the young lady's dad, and then how long was it before you realized, or you guys realized that, well, where's Nolan at?
I mean, I went back downstairs, and all my friends were just hanging out. And my buddy Wyatt had addressed, talking about Nolan. And I was like, well, where is Nolan? Have y'all heard from him? And he was like, no, we haven't. And I was like, okay, well, it's a little concerning. Like, I mean, I'm not freaking out or anything, but like, I'm trying to find out where Nolan is. So I texted Javon, and I was like, hey, and also a couple other buddies that I had at the island. I was like, hey, have y'all seen Nolan? Did he ride in with y'all? And all the buddies were like, no. Well, I texted Javon, and I was like, hey, can you send me Miss Christine's number? Because I haven't heard from Nolan. And if she hasn't heard from Nolan, then I'm calling the Coast Guard. And so eventually, Javon sends me her number.
Who is her? That's
Miss Christine.
Miss Christine
Yeah,
is
Nolan's mom.
Nolan's mom.
Yeah. And I walked down to the dock because I mean there was a lot of people at Ava's, not a lot, but there was probably 15 of our friends there, and I was just like walked down to the dock with a couple of my buddies, and I got on the phone I called Miss Christine, called her the first time, she didn't answer. I called her a second time, and I got on the phone with her, and I asked her if she had heard from Nolan. She said no, and I said, all right, well, don't freak out. I'm gonna call the Coast Guard, and this was at about 11 o'clock.
So what's your intent in calling the Coast Guard, right? Because right now, Nolan could be with a chick. He could be with somebody else.
Right.
He could have gone back with somebody else. What made you concerned enough that you felt like you couldn't weigh it out anymore? You had to call the Coast Guard.
Well, I mean, like I said, my friends and I have been on the water our whole life. Stuff happens. People die all the time. I know people that have died out there. And, it's a fun place to be, but it's also a very, very dangerous place to be if you're not handling it right. And Nolan, so I hadn't heard from him. And obviously, I'm thinking I'd way rather be safe than sorry. I mean, I would rather call the Coast Guard 100 times and lose my mind over it and my buddy be okay than, not, and me not know where he is and him not be okay. And so I called the Coast Guard and I talked to them on the phone for like 20 minutes, gave him a description, what Nolan was wearing, the last place we were at, the last time I saw him, who were we with, what boat we were on, the conditions of the water, just a summary. And I called Miss Christine back after and I talked to her and I said, I got in contact with the Coast Guard. I'm not sure who she called or, what she did, but I think she said she was going to make a couple phone calls to either DMR or Jackson County Sheriff's Office. And I was thinking worst case scenario. Like, I would way rather be safe than sorry about this,
Yeah, so you called. So it seems like you called mom immediately.
Right.
Probably the first phone call that she got from anybody.
That's the first phone call, like at least I made. And I would assume that's the first phone call she got from anybody because Javon hadn't called her. And, there's nothing wrong with that, but Javon hadn't called her. And, I was just worried about my friend. Stuff happens out there, boat problems, it could be anything. But, there's a lot of stuff that happens out there, and I was just worried about my friend.
And so you guys made that call, nothing that night. And I'm assuming you wake up the next day, and then what happens?
I wake up the next day at about 7:30, and my dad had texted me because obviously Nolan's photo was all over Facebook, and I just saw it everywhere, and I was freaked out because I was like, oh my gosh, like I assumed Nolan's just we had been drinking all day and that he's just sleeping somewhere and that he's okay, but I didn't want to believe that if we didn't know for sure. So next day I woke up and my stepdad walked to my room and he said, hey, like, have they heard anything about Nolan? Like, what's going on? Because I hadn't spoke to him, and he was like, I was like, yeah, no, like, I don't know. I had just gotten up, and he was like, all right, well, we're going and getting on the boat and looking for him. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I got my buddy Ricky, I got my buddy Brooks, and I got my buddy Jax. My mom came on the boat with my stepdad and I, and we all went out there and looked. When I got out there was dozens of DMR boats, helicopters, planes flying over Horn Island. And this wasn't just Horn Island. There was also Ship Island they were looking at, I'm sure, and Chandelier Island, Petty Boy. It wasn't just Horn Island specifically, but where I was at Horn, there were boats everywhere, and not just like random boats, but like, marine resource boats and, cops and, the whole nine. Like, it wasn't like there was just a couple boats looking for Nolan. There was planes and helicopters and, everybody. So.
And then after this, obviously they didn't find Nolan that day.
Right.
And so what was your reaction like when you heard the news, or how did you hear the news that they found Nolan's body?
Well, the next day, it got to be about 1 o'clock on July 5th. And I was like, my mind started to turn. I was like, man, if he's not awake yet, like, where is he? Like, I got very, very worried. And, I was with my buddy Brooks the next day, and we're driving, and my buddies were texting my group chat. They were like, hey, listen. And then I got a phone call from my buddy Trace, and he was like, hey, man, they just found his body. And I was like, I wanted to have hope, but it was really, really hard to have hope when they haven't found your buddy in the last 2 days. And, but there's still a little bit of hope there, you know, like maybe, you know, he's not gone and maybe, you know, he's okay. But my reaction was just, I was with my buddy Brooks and I broke down. I mean, I haven't experienced death a lot, but especially with someone I'm as close with as Nolan. And I mean, I broke down and I sat there on my buddy Brooks' shoulder and I cried. And I was upset. I made a couple phone calls to my buddies and checked up on my buddies because, you know, I care about my buddies too. I mean, like we're all experienced this. Like we all realized at the same time. We all heard the news at the same time. Like, you know, he's gone. And so it was really, really hard on me. I mean, I've never experienced something like this, and it was traumatic. I mean, I could tell you where and when I was there, when I got that phone call, you know, where I was. And I just remember, like, it was insane. Like, I can't even put into words how upset I was, you know, and how upset my friends were. So.
And then comes the stories and the backlash and the craziness. I mean, you guys are now hearing that you're responsible for it. You did it. You killed Nolan. So what was the next step? Did you guys ever engage with police or?
Yeah. So the first time I talked to the police was July 7th. I talked to the lead investigator and I told him my whole story, top to bottom, dotted every I, crossed every T. I told him everything I knew, every little detail. I mean, everything I could, you know, tell them to try to figure something out, you know.
Were you the only one to talk to the cops or?
No, of course
some
not.
Other guys do?
You know, every person that was included, especially, you know, the guys that you see on social media, everybody cooperated with the police fully. You know, Nolan was with us on the way out and he rode out on the boats with us. So, I mean, we were the first people to get questioned. I mean, we cooperated with the police the first time they called us and, you know, we talked to them, you know, as soon as they needed and we were fully cooperative.
And we see Benjamin Crump coming to town, made it about race.
Right.
What's your feeling about that? Do you think that any of this has anything to do with race or, because I mean, obviously something happened to Nolan. It appears that you guys may not have been involved at all. Well, I say may not, it's no evidence that you were involved at all. Right. You guys had left. Right. But do you think that there's a racial component to any of this?
Of course not. I mean, I think if Nolan ever felt the most little bit uncomfortable around us, which we never gave him a reason to, but if he did, he wouldn't hang out around us. But if you go look on, you know, like my friends have had Nolan posted all over our social medias, you know, since freshman year in high school. Like, if Nolan ever felt uncomfortable with us, why would he be hanging out with us all the time? I mean, every day we're back from college, we hang out and we're around each other all the time. So absolutely not. I would never look at Nolan any other way than I would any of my other friends. I mean, he was like a brother to me.
And so you guys had been interviewed by law enforcement. All of you guys have given statements. But then I think that there's a part associated with this that's being rumored out in the public, and that is the situation with the cell phone, potential deletion of messages, how the cell phone was retrieved. And I just want you to tell your side of this, because what we're getting from the media is that they literally had to, I don't know, coerce you guys into giving it back. You didn't know where it was at. You were hesitant to give the phone over, almost as they had to turn your wrist or twist your arm just to give it back.
Right.
Well, what happened with the cell phone thing? So let's go back to the first engagement you had when it comes to the family or somebody coming back to get the cell phone and keys. When did that occur, and what happened there?
Okay, well, that night, about 12:30, I went back to my buddy's house.
And you said the night of the 4th?
The night of the 4th, but it was about 12:30, I would like to say. And so I went back to my buddy's house that I stayed the night before, where we all met up, you know, and stayed together the night before. And my buddy got a call from this guy, and the guy was like, oh, like, you know, like, what's going on with all this Nolan stuff? Very aggravated. I mean, yeah, every right to be, but I mean, we were trying to calm him down, and like he was just like, oh, like where y'all at? My buddy said, we're at my buddy's house, and he said, all right, and then he just hung up. And so about 30 minutes later, I'd like to say, all of a sudden the door just got open and slammed, and there was a girl who walked in, and like probably about 8 or 9 guys behind her, and then another mom, which was Javon's mom. And
who's Javon? I want to put that in perspective. Who is Javon?
Javon is one of Nolan's good friends. He's a friend of mine too. Like great guy, and his mom and their family is very close with the Wells family. And so I don't know why she was there, like what was going on, but I was very surprised by this. I was like, like you just basically like kicked the door open and bust up in the house with no knock or anything.
So is Javon black or white?
Javon's mixed. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I guess he's mixed.
Yeah.
So, but he's not white.
He's not white.
Just white.
Yeah.
Or all white, I guess you might call it.
Yeah.
So then they come in the house. Do you know any of these people? You
I know some of the
said
guys.
the mom, but do you know anybody else?
I've seen the mom before, and I know most of them. Most of the guys went to high school with me, and like I'm friends with some of the guys. I mean, I know some of them. So eventually, like things started to get heated, and I was just like a guy I was friends with in high school. He was like, "Man, come outside with me," and I was like, "All right." And I walked outside with him. He was like, "Man, I don't know why. Like they're panicking, and like this is just like I think Nolan's just on somebody's couch. He's been drinking all day. He's just messed up, and this is nothing that we have to worry about." And as much as I sat there and I told him, I was like, I agree. I would think he's on somebody's couch, just had been drinking all day and just drank too much and was super intoxicated. And that's kind of what a lot of us thought, but they were kind of losing it and they were going crazy. And the mom that was with them demanded Nolan's phone, because Nolan left the phone on the boat. And when we ran in, Nolan didn't ask for his phone, and his keys were not on the boat because his car was parked at my buddy's house where we had all slept, the night before the 4th. And so the keys were left at the house because Nolan's car was at my buddy's house where we stayed at. So of course he left his keys there. But his phone, I mean, he was drinking. He didn't have his phone in the water because no one did. And I mean, there was more than just Nolan's phone that wasn't on the boat with us.
It was more than just Nolan's phone that was on the boat.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously had all our phones, but on the boat. But those weren't the only people. Like Nolan wasn't the only person that left a phone on the boat. There was a lot of people that left phones on the boat, not that didn't ride out or in with us. So we I mean, there was a couple phones that we had that we didn't know who they belonged to, and my buddy's got that figured out, But it wasn't just Nolan's phone that was on the boat that who wasn't there. There was a lot of phones.
So when they barged in, they started getting frantic. The mom asked for Nolan's phone.
Right.
Was there a struggle over it, or did you guys hand it over?
I mean, just handed it over. I mean, we didn't think anything of it. Like, she asked for Nolan's phone. We knew they were close friends with, the Wells family, and my buddy went out to his truck and handed the phone over. No complications, no issue, nothing. But I mean, I told Miss Christine that we had his phone and he had left it in our possession on the boat.
When did you? Miss Christine is Nolan's mom.
Correct.
When did you talk to her about that?
When I was on, no, I didn't talk to her once. Like it was like 12:30. I mean, I might have texted her a couple times and talked briefly about a couple things, but I never. I told her on the phone before I called the Coast Guard that we had Nolan's phone. Before I called Miss Christine, I asked, I was like, "Oh, well, where's his location at?" Because Nolan had his Snapchat location on for me. And he said, it's Wyatt said it's, in my truck. Like, because everybody who left stuff on the boat, it was Wyatt's boat. So Wyatt put it in his truck, it's normal. And so the phone was in possession in Wyatt's truck. And when that mom came over and asked for it, there was no issue at all with us giving the phone to her. I mean, Nolan just left it on the boat. We handed the phone to her that night of the 4th of July.
And did you guys go through the phone or?
Of course not. I mean, none of us had a reason to go through Nolan's phone. I mean, there's multiple phones on the boat. Why would it be? And the boat was having issues. Why would our concern be getting on Nolan's phone or something? I mean, I don't even know Nolan's password. None of my friends do. We had no reason ever to get on Nolan's phone and look at anything. I didn't even touch Nolan's phone. None of us touched Nolan's phone until somebody took it off the boat and put it in Wyatt's truck, and then no one touched it until we handed it back, to the mom that was at my buddy's house.
Was that the only phone that she picked up, or was it other people's phone that they came and got? Or
that I know of, I think that was the only one that she had. But I'm not completely sure. I think that's the only one that she took Nolan's. That's it.
And so we're on the 4th, where the night, probably going into the morning of the 5th, this happens. Then the dad comes back at some point to get the keys.
Right.
What happened there? When was this, and what happened?
Well, my buddy Brooks drove me and dropped me off at my house, and I woke up to a text the next morning that Miss Christina texted me, and she said, "Hey, Nolan's dad's there is there at my buddy's house to pick up the keys." And I didn't think anything of it. I told her that I was praying for her, and that we were out there, and we were doing everything that we could to help out.
And when it came to pick the keys up, was there a confrontation, or? Because I could have sworn I saw on the news that when he came to pick the keys up, it was almost like an altercation because you guys didn't want to get the keys over, or you didn't know where the keys were at?
I mean, no, absolutely not. I mean, I wasn't there, but from what my friend told me, they just had to look for Nolan's keys. It's not like, why would we be hiding Nolan's keys? There's no reason to hide anything. This is our friend. We have nothing to hide. I mean, we were trying to do everything that we could to help out.
All right, so I want to be clear with this one thing, because I know you mentioned before that you have no reason to touch the phone. Obviously, you didn't touch the phone.
Right.
But is there any chance or any knowledge that you have that anybody deleted stuff from his phone?
Absolutely not. I mean, like I said, there was no reason for us to get on Nolan's phone. No one touched Nolan's phone, but nothing. If none of us had touched Nolan's phone, then there's no reason for anything to be deleted. I mean, no one even was in contact with his phone until it was moved from the boat to the truck. And none of us have access to Nolan's password to get on his phone and delete anything. Absolutely not. And we have no reason to delete anything. I mean, there's nothing to hide here. I mean, we have had no reason to delete anything, and we never did. All
right, so I have something I want to make sure that we're clear about, because you had mentioned earlier that you saw Nolan cradling Katie.
Right.
Her name is Katie.
Yeah, Katie.
I just want you to explain, what does that mean? Some people in their mind, they may think he's cradling like a baby.
Yeah.
Like what is that scenario look like?
Yeah, he was. I mean, Nolan was off. The last time I saw him, like I said, I was off the bow of the boat, and like I said earlier, if you had jumped off the bow of the boat, you were probably about chest or neck deep in water. So Nolan wasn't like carrying her out the water. She's sitting in the water, and Nolan's arms are under the water, and he's carrying her from under the water, but her head's still out of the water, Nolan's head's still out of the water, and I was looking at both of them, so.
Oh, so he's kind of like holding her.
Right,
Kind of like,
in the water though.
Like we grown, right? There's two people in the water, they feeling each other,
right.
like meaning feeling they like each other.
Right.
And
that was obvious.
He's a little more close to her, and they're kind of having a moment.
Correct.
Not insinuating that it's sexual, but
no, of course not.
They're together, they like each other. You looking at him, you like, bro, you crazy. Because you know that he like her and he's hanging out with her.
Yeah, right. Okay. Exactly.
That makes sense. And when was the last time that you saw Nolan? And then when was the last time that someone reported to you that Nolan was seen? Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
You saw him at a certain point, but then someone else saw him a lot later when you guys were gone.
Right. Okay, so the last time I personally laid eyes on Nolan was at like 3:00, and he was, front of the boat with the girl, and that's the last time I saw him. But there were, I've talked to somebody personally that saw Nolan at 6:00, and someone, we weren't even the last people to see Nolan. Once we left, there was still dozens on dozens on dozens of boats around us. And I mean, clearly we were not the last people to see Nolan.
So Warren, I'm gonna ask you some very pointed questions. I mean, just straight out.
Okay.
I didn't come down here to, do anything other but to get the truth
Right.
and for you to have a voice in this.
Right.
And the first thing I want to ask you is, did you kill Nolan?
Of course not.
Did you have anything to do with Nolan's death?
Of course not. And absolutely not.
They say that you guys deleted stuff out of his phone. Did you delete anything out of Nolan's phone?
No, of course not.
The mom act like, or at least she portrayed on television, and the rumors are that you weren't really good friends with Nolan. Is that true or not?
Absolutely not. I hung out with Nolan probably like 3 days a week. I mean, seriously, at least. Some days my friends want to hang out every single day, and Nolan was always there. So,
and obviously people may see this and know the facts later,
right,
that you weren't able to go to the funeral or the memorial service.
Right.
Why didn't you go? What was that?
Well, I mean, with everything going on social media right now, and with people saying the crazy things that they're saying, I would never want to take the attention off of Nolan and his family. They don't deserve that. And, for own personal reasons, I mean, I've gotten thousands of death threats. My family's got thousands of death threats. And, for my own safety, I'm not going to put my own health and safety at risk. It breaks my heart that I can't go, and it hurt me more than anything. Because, obviously I want to say my last goodbyes to one of my best friends. But, I mean, if I'm getting thousands of death threats with people saying they're going to kill me and do crazy things to my family and I couldn't bring myself to go because, I got to put my own safety first. And even if that means, missing my friend's funeral, I mean, it's horrible, and I wish I could have been there, but that's what's been going on,
And, you guys, and I think this is the first time that you've publicly gave a statement about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And obviously you're doing it with me. We're going to put it out there for the world. Why did you choose to do it now? And why did you choose to not speak to anybody but me?
Right. Okay. Well, Officer Tatum, I've been watching you for a good while now. And, I think you're a great guy. You've kind of, ever since things got really hot, you've kind of been on my friends and I's side. And I really like that about you. I mean, I thought you were very confident and well-spoken, and I really enjoyed that. And all my friends and I watch you. We all think you're great. We love your faith with the Lord. We try to be closer and closer with the Lord every day. And so did Nolan, and, that we just really liked the way you spoke about us and how you took our side, not based off someone's agenda and, based off of race. Cause I mean, that's a horrible thing,
Was this about race? Did this have anything to do with race as far as from your perspective?
Absolutely not. I mean, Nolan's been a great friend of mine since 8th grade. Nolan isn't my only friend of color. And, I have plenty of friends through high school and friends I have now, not just Nolan, who are Black, Mexican. I've never looked at that, and none of my friends ever have. And if you do, that's disgusting,
And if you had a chance to, tell the world that have painted this picture of you and your friends as being potential murderers of Nolan, white supremacists, racists, what would you want the world to know if you can summarize to them in a very short paragraph or a few sentences?
Yeah.
What would you want to say to them if you had the opportunity?
I would want to say to them that my family and I are praying for y'all. I can never bring myself to tell somebody that I'm going to kill them, and that I'm going to, I've received, and my family's received, absolutely horrible threats about this. And, I want people to know that our faith with the Lord is stronger and means more to us than anything. And we all trust in the Lord, and for the Lord to reveal the truth. And I know that's what will happen because I have faith and my family has faith. But I want people to know that I'm praying for them. And if they want to speak hate and speak, these horrible things, and I mean, you're obviously not in the right state of mind, and you need to work on yourself. It's a horrible thing, and but race was never a thing between Nolan and I and my friends. I mean, I have friends in my friend group that are Mexican and mixed, black. I mean, that's never mattered. And I think it's just absolutely disgusting that people try to make this narrative out of something that it's absolutely not, first off, and out of something that they have zero facts about. Jackson County hasn't released any facts. There haven't been any facts about this case other than that, just timelines and stuff like that. But it's horrible that people have made this out to be something that it's absolutely not, and it's disgusting in my opinion.
Was Nolan the only black person on that island?
Absolutely not. I saw a lot of black people, and like I said, I mean, it's not pointed out or anything. I mean, I wasn't looking at that, but my buddy Trayson was out there, and he's mixed. Javon was out there. He's came out. He's mixed. I know a bunch of my friends that are black that were out there that day that I haven't even mentioned. I mean, Nolan was not the only black person out there by no means. I mean, like there was thousands of people out there, white, Mexican, black, everyone.
And in the friend group, is Nolan the only black person in the friend group?
Absolutely not. My buddy Trayson's black. I have other friends of color. I mean, our friend group's very tight, and we have a not a small group of guys, but we have 10 to 12 guys in my friend group, and we're all from Ocean Springs, and we grew up together. But Nolan is not the only black guy in my friend group by any means, and everybody knows that.
There's controversy around the CETO, right? You guys called it in.
Right.
They have that record of you guys, making that emergency call.
Right.
But then there's this, I guess, graphic of you guys traveling at a slow speed. Then all of a sudden you accelerate.
Right.
People are saying that that's an indication of something afoot or foul play going on in that timeline. What do you have to say to the naysayers who are mentioning that something must have happened, that you guys were going slow, then you accelerated all of a sudden?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely not. We got towed probably a quarter mile. Like I said, my buddy Bart drove his boat up next to ours after he pulled us out away from the island, and then he towed us a little more while we were trying to get the motor figured out. I mean, the motor would trim down. So then eventually, and the motor wouldn't trim down. And so eventually we figured out if you held the manual trim on the motor will stay in the water even when you start to accelerate. Because when my buddy would put the boat in gear and forward, the motor would come right back up. So it trimmed down, but then it'd come right back up when you went to go put it in forward and drive off. So yeah, we stopped at one point. My buddy pulled the plug out the boat, got back in the boat, the captain of the boat, got in the water, pulled the plug out the boat, got back in the boat, and hit it. And like I said earlier, we all transferred our weight to the front. So, because there was so much water in the back of the boat that when my buddy had it pinned out all the way, trying to go as fast as we can, and the boat was still sitting like this on the water. Wouldn't even plane out. So we had to move all the way to the front of the boat. Everybody had to get on the bow, and eventually we planed. Everybody got sat back. And when you're on plane and you're going, water starts coming out the boat. Like that's the whole reason he pulled the plug, because when you come out the water and you're on plane and the boat's level, water starts coming out the boat. So, I mean, that's why we came to a stop, so he could jump in the water, pull the plug, and then we hauled in. There was no stopping, because if you do stop, the water starts coming back in the boat because the plug's out. So
there's nothing nefarious there. It's just a formality of trying to unplug the boat and
absolutely
get it docked properly.
Correct. I mean, we were just trying to, solve the boat's issues, because we wouldn't have ever gone anywhere if the boat wasn't figured out. So
and Nolan being a really good friend of yours, really good friend of all of you guys, some of you guys have been accused of killing him. I mean, obviously he was somebody you knew, somebody you spent a lot of time with. With all that has gone on, if Nolan was here, what do you think he would say about all this?
I think Nolan has Nolan's one of the best men I've ever met. I mean, he has an amazing heart. And like I said in the beginning, I mean, Nolan is one of the nicest and sweetest people I've ever met. I mean, seriously, he had no hate in his heart whatsoever. I think if Nolan knew this was going on, he'd be sick to his stomach. I mean, Nolan hated all hate and arguing and drama. He didn't like any of that. So, I mean, I think if Nolan knew this was going on, he'd be very, very upset. I mean, it's horrible. If he knew his friends were getting these threats and, you know, we were, you know, felt threatened for our lives, I mean, Nolan would be traumatized if he was here, like, and if he knew that. Like, I mean, he was a person of no violence, and, you know, he had a really good heart. He would hate it.
You think your friendship with Nolan inspired you to want to speak out?
Of course. I mean, I know Nolan, and like I said, I've been really tight with Nolan since 8th grade, and he's a best friend of mine. He's like a brother, and Nolan's the type of guy to fight back for what's right and fight for the truth. And I know Nolan would tell me if he was here to fight back and make sure the truth is out and make sure your word is out, because that's what matters most.
So after all that's been said in this interview, do you have any theories about what could have possibly happened to Nolan?
You know, my buddies and I have talked about it, and like I said, I mean, I've been on the water my entire life. My friends have. It's not like we're unexperienced in this, but Nolan was my best friend, and he was my friend's best friends, and well, he was like a brother to me. And more than anything, and the thing that's most important is what happened to him. And I mean, I want to know just as much as anybody else. I mean, that's all. Like, my friends haven't stopped talking about that. Like, what happened, and, you know, like, just trying to figure it out. But I would never want to put it on somebody else because of the hate that I've received for just being out there around them, and my name getting brought up because I called the Coast Guard. I was the first one to call the Coast Guard. I mean, I don't know, and I want to know more than anybody. I mean, my friends and I are have been wondering this for a while, and, you know, we just want to know as much as anybody else what happened to him. But I would never want to sit here and blame anybody else and put this on anybody else because of the hate and death threats that my family and my friends have received. It's horrible, and I would never want someone else to, like, experience that, you know?
Yeah, especially if there's no evidence to it.
Exactly.
So I got two more things I want to address directly. Mm-hmm. It's been said out there that you guys immediately deleted your social media, lowered it up, as if you were in some type of fear that you would be implicated in this. What do you say to that?
I mean, of course we lowered up, and of course, you know, I deleted my social media. I was getting death threats before anything ever came out because I was the one that called the Coast Guard. I mean, people put this all on me because I was the one that called. I was the one that was, you know, worried. My friends were just as well. I mean, of course I deleted all my social media. I was getting insane death threats, like stuff I couldn't even believe 2 days after. And, you know, we went straight to the police. I wanted the police to come and ask questions. I wanted them to know and have all of my information. And, I mean, people were accusing me of murdering my best friend. It's sick. I mean, like, just because of race. I mean, it's disgusting. It makes me sick to my stomach. I mean, I got off of social media because there were people saying insane things to me and my family, and I just couldn't sit there and look at it. I mean, that's it.
And Warren, thank you so much, man, for being bold and courageous, for telling your story. The purpose of me doing this and flying down here is because I wanted to know for myself. I always felt that the narrative that was out there wasn't quite complete. Mm-hmm. It seems like there was a rush to judgment. And I know that you could have taken the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not going to say anything. I'm afraid for my life. And I'm just not going to put my neck out there. Right. But I applaud you and appreciate you for stepping up, for doing what Nolan would be proud of you doing, and that is putting the word out there and not letting the naysayers run with the narrative.
Of course.
And you being a young guy, I'm much older than you.
Mm-hmm.
I could take the punches.
Right.
You know, I love dishing it out.
Mm-hmm.
But for you as a young man to really put your neck out there, to stand up for your friends and stand up for Nolan is very honorable. And I appreciate you doing this interview with me.
Well, I appreciate you. I mean, you being here and flying down has meant a lot. And I mean, I just wanted to get my story out there because I know that's what Nolan would want me to do. And I want the truth to come out. And I pray that the good Lord reveals the truth to everybody. So thank you, Brandon.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Did you have anything to do with Nolan's death?
No.
Do you have personal knowledge of someone directly in your friend group having anything to do with Nolan's death?
No, not at all.
So I saw you on television, you had an interview, and I felt like you laid out a few things that I think the world needs to know and be clear about.
Okay.
And the first one is the relationship that you had with Nolan. Can you explain your relationship with Nolan?
Yeah, I will. So his mom got on TV, as everybody has seen, and said that she didn't know me. And man, that can't be farthest from the truth. Me and Nolan, I met Nolan in 9th grade in a second block class. It was math. He was one of the first guys I made friends with. It was somebody I made a connection to. Like off rip, he was an athlete. I could tell he was an athlete when I walked into class. We sat really close to each other, and all he did, he turned around and asked me for a pencil when I first met him in 9th grade when I moved to Ocean Springs. Man, it was tough, and the relationship there has always been a best friend in my eyes. I never wanted to take away how close somebody else was with Nolan, but Nolan was my best friend. That was a guy I knew I could call at any point in time. He called me at 11 o'clock on the 4th to see where I was parked at. Man, me and Nolan have countless nights of him giving me advice on my girlfriend, on my life in general. Nolan has been the only friend, and I love my friends and my best friends in this group of guys, but Nolan has been the only person that ever tell me like he's proud of what I've done. He's proud of how hard I worked. He's proud of me going overseas to go play ball. That was my guy. Like, that was my best friend.
Yeah, and so how does it make you feel when the media, activists are coming out and alluding to the fact that you may have something to do with what happened to Nolan on that day?
Man, that hurts. It hurts is an understatement. I beat myself up every night I lay down. Beat myself up anytime it crosses my mind. Because in my head, if I wasn't drinking, if I didn't get into that altercation, maybe I would be able to do something. Maybe I would have saw something. Maybe I would have told Nolan, hey, man, you're not going with that girl. Just come back with us. We're going back a little bit later. We can go meet up with the guys later. Maybe it just plays out different. And then the fact that they're going to play that is I'm already trying to mourn my friend's death as is, and I'm blaming myself for it. To put that in my head is a next level of hurt that can't be truly explained. Because it's hard to put into words. Generally, it's backstabbing from a sense of a community that I thought I had with my skin color, and they stay so strong together, and I'm supposed to be one of them, but I come up and I speak, and now I'm the person to blame. Now I'm not dark enough for them. I'm not black enough for them, and now I'm the issue. It doesn't make sense. In my head, it doesn't make sense.
Was Nolan, I mean, obviously you were in a friend group, but the way the media makes it seem is that almost as if Nolan was the only black person in this whole friend group. Now they don't even mention you. They don't bring you up in this whole thing when it comes to what happened at Horn Island. So what's your take on Nolan being presented as like the only black kid in a group of all these white boys?
That's crazy, man. I know we've spoken a little bit, but that friend group that I'm a part of to this day was the first friend group I was in when I moved to Ocean Springs as a new kid coming in. I never knew any of them. I known one kind of, sort of, back from grade school because we went to the same private school together. But that was it. That was it. And him being the only black person, minority, any of that measure is insane. Our friend group is diverse from the max. Like, we have a mixed guy. I mean, we had Nolan in our friend group. There's an Asian a part of our friend group. There's a Latino that they're trying to perceive as white. He's truly authentic Mexican. His parents are from Mexico. They came over legally and they did everything right, and he's been here since. It blows my mind because our friend group is not a friend group that sees race. Our friend group sees what good you do for other people, what good you bring, and how the type of person you truly are and where your morals lie. That's one thing in common. Me and my friends might not agree on everything, but our morals align. Our morals know. So for them to even make that narrative up really shows you have no idea what it's like down here on the coast. You have no idea how tight-knit Ocean Springs as a community is. You don't understand it. You don't see the thousands of kids in the high school football stands cheering their team on. Nobody cares what color you are. We're there to have fun and to just live. And that's how Nolan lived. That's how I live now. I've grown up and I have more big boy stuff, but in high school, all I cared about was going to hang out with my guys. And I mean, on a personal level that leads off of it, is like, it got me in trouble with my girlfriend just because I wanted to be with the guys. I never once thought, man, they look at me different. Man, I'm kind of an outcast to them. No. All their moms have always welcomed me with open arms. Anytime I needed anything, I knew I could call them and their parents, and they would do anything in the world for me. So with Crump pushing this narrative, it's wrong.
Yeah,
it's completely wrong, especially about our friend group.
Yeah, I find it, especially after talking to you, meeting some of the guys, that it seems like there was an agenda. But can you walk us through just your perspective from that day? I don't know if did you go with them initially? Were you a part of the group that went to Horn Island?
So I wasn't, no, clear that up. No, I was not on the boat with them. Yes, I was a part of the group that was supposed to go out. So the only reason why I did not go on the boat is I got begged to go, but my uncle, we also took 12 people out on our boat, not including us two, so 14. And my uncle knows the passengers wouldn't have helped. Generally wouldn't have helped with anything. With that many people on a boat, you need a little bit of help. So my uncle was like, hey, can you just ride out with me and you can go do your thing throughout the day on the island? I don't care. I don't need you. I just need help to get out there and then pick everything up. Because I know all these people are going to be drunk and they're not going to want to do the extras that nobody sees about going out on the boat, right? And so I told Wyatt that, and oops, my bad. But I told him.
It's good.
I told him that, and I told him everything, which was go to plan. We were leaving a little bit earlier than them. I was gonna try to have a spot saved out, and Nolan calls me at 11 o'clock. I missed his phone call. Called me twice. I missed both of them. I saw Wyatt and Nolan on the boat. They pulled right in front of our boat, and they were screaming. I turned my head and I was like, yo, there's a spot over there, where they end up anchoring out. I helped them set their stern anchor. From the time they showed up until now, going back to it, 20 minutes before they left, I was with them. That's who I was with. I spent all day with them, minus the morning time before they got out there. But from the time they got out there to the time they went back in, I was with them. Those are my friends, man. Those are my guys.
Yeah, I want to get a few more details.
I'm sorry about that.
I know that. Yeah, go ahead. I know that you were all over the news because there was a perceived fight. This is the thing that gets me, and I want to you clarify this. When I saw the video that they put out on the internet claiming that Nolan was saying, "Give me my effing phone back," the coach came out. Nolan's coach came out and said immediately he knew it wasn't Nolan's voice, and obviously it wasn't Nolan's voice because you were the one
Yeah,
that
that's
was
me yelling. Yeah.
in there yelling. You got into an altercation with somebody. What happened after that? Like, put me in your place where the fight is over, whatever happened. Nolan is somewhere, you're hanging out. And when was the last time that you saw Nolan before you left Horn Island?
So, after the fight, I didn't stay on Horror Island much longer. So the objective. So I was really upset. So with you hearing me yelling, my uncle had told me to get on the boat and wouldn't let me back off the boat. Obviously, I was really mad and I wanted to fight, wanted to get up. What wasn't smart, man. Mm-hmm. And so I was on the boat. I'm yelling, and shortly after that, I left the island. I left probably 30 to 45 minutes after I got into a fight. We started to pack up and left because I was so upset. As Javon mentions, that they were ready to get me back to land because I was really mad. I was genuinely really mad. But the last time I saw Nolan, I was walking to the boat. This was before the fight. It's me and my old lady. We had just got out of a group of people. Nolan was walking towards Wyatt's boat. I was walking in the opposite direction towards my boat. And I dabbed Nolan up. I made a slick comment about something, actually about the girl that he was with. I made a slick comment to him, us joking around, and I kept going. And not even 10 minutes after that is when I got into a fight. The last thing I told Nolan was, "All right, buddy, I love you. See you later." And I'm glad I said it. I had been under the influence a little bit, and that's probably why I did say it at the time, just, getting all lovey-dovey, but I'm at peace I said it. I'm glad I said it. That was my last encounter with Nolan. Just telling him I love him.
Did you have so you leave the island, did you have any encounters or association with these phones, with the keys? Did you have any connection to any of that?
I did not. So what I know, I got my first phone call from Warren at about 9:20. I didn't answer it. I was asleep. I'd been on the boat all day. I didn't feel like going to party anymore. I went to bed. So I got my first phone call about 9:20, and I didn't wake up again until a little after 11 o'clock. And that was to my brother coming in the room being like, "Hey, Warren's trying to get a hold of you. You need to answer the phone. They're looking for Nolan." And I'm half awake, and I pick up the phone. And by this time, nobody had came to the house to grab anything. And Warren gets on the phone, and he's just like, "Hey, man," he was like, "Hey, have you talked to Nolan? Anything else?" I was like, "No, I haven't talked to him, man. He was with that girl last time I knew." And he was like, "Okay." He was like, "Man, we can't get a hold of him. We don't know where he's at." And I was like, "Man, it's Nolan. He's probably just out somewhere with that girl. Like, get a hold of the girl, you'll probably find Nolan. It's no big deal." And he was like, "All right." He was like, "But we're starting to freak out. We're getting on the phone with Coast Guard." I was like, "Okay." And at that time, he had already talked to his mom, Nolan's mom. And he was getting on the phone with the Coast Guard. And I need to be specific about this. I did not call Warren's phone. I called another one of our buddies' phone, and it was on speakerphone. They were all together. I was talking on my other buddy's phone, talking to Warren. He was dialing Coast Guard because he hung up the phone and was like, "Hey, this is them, bye," and hung up the phone. And that was the last time I talked to him until the next morning when we all decided, when I woke up about 7 o'clock that morning, we had all decided that we were going to go out on the boat and go look for Nolan. Wyatt had already had his boat still in the water. We took that boat out. It was a
What
group
day are
of
we
us.
talking?
So that's Sunday morning.
Sunday morning
So
on the
it's 5th.
The 5th?
So it was Saturday the 4th was the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
The 5th was Sunday. We were on the water from 9:45 to 11:50, 12 o'clock era, about lunchtime. While we were on the water, we talked to a rescue guy, and he told us to get off the water and said that they kind of had the island and the water under control. That's the professionals, man.
Yeah.
They told us to get on social media and find out any information we can. And by that time, we had already talked to a good amount of people out there, so it just made sense. So we went back in and we concluded our search and started the search off socials and started sharing everything we could and try to get a hold of anybody that could have talked to Nolan, that Nolan possibly would have reached out to. And that led into the night. It led all night long. I didn't sleep at all Sunday. Monday, I was up at 5 a.m. I was putting fuel in our boat at 6. I got told that we were taking out another boat to Chandelier at 7. So I put my boat back on the lift, and I went to McDonald's, and then I got the news after I left McDonald's that his body was found. So it was already a plan that we were going and searching and trying to do everything we possibly can. And that's all I wanted to do. Is I wasn't there to help him out in his last minutes, but now I feel like as a friend and as one of my guys, man, I do everything in my power to help now. And that's why I have reached out to the family. I have donated to the family, and I have giving them just your normal death gifts, I would say, as you pay your respects. And
Do you think Benjamin Crump being involved in this case made it better or worse?
100,000 times % worse. Because why on the Tuesday after where has your civil rights been broken? Where has it been shown? You brought Benjamin Crump to stir up a community that's already tight-knit. Yeah, we might not be best friends with everybody, but I promise, if you're talking about Ocean Springs as a whole, Ocean Springs is going to have Ocean Springs back, 110%. We back each other. Everybody I've seen, we back each other. And for them to push this narrative and really push it, just shows me is like you have no idea who you're dealing with or who you're messing with. And I think he's taking the grieving parents and manipulating and turning this and making it sound all bad, because nothing's like that at all. No.
Have you gotten death threats?
I
Or, because I know that the other young men that I spoke to about this, especially the white young men, they're getting all kind of death threats. They're being accused of killing Nolan. Did you get the same backlash and threats that some of those guys have gotten?
Yes, I've gotten the death threats per se, but I've also gotten the threats along the lines of where it's like I've been cast out of the black community. I've been called white. I've been called a wetback. All these things. I've been sent photos of me and my grandmother, and they've been told that she's the devil. She's just looking for the time to kill you. You need to be careful and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, if y'all want to know the story, the only people that showed up for me in my whole life has been my white side of my family. So for y'all to sit there and drag their name and to drag me down, and I'm supposed to be one of y'all, and you're supposed to have my back, and we're supposed to be in this together, and it's really eye-opening.
Did it shock you that it turned this way? Meaning that, you see everything happen. Nolan was your friend. From all the young men I talked to, it seemed like Nolan was the life of the party. Everybody loves Nolan. He gets along with everybody. Everybody's cool, and everybody feels like Nolan made them feel like everybody's his best friend, right? I mean,
Well,
everybody felt connected to Nolan. Were you shocked that it turned like this? I mean, where this community was tight knit, Nolan's friend group was tight. He ends up losing his life in an unfortunate situation, which nobody knows exactly what happened. Did it shock you that it turned into some racial thing?
Yes, racial, I do agree. Now, it going famous or going viral, that part didn't shock me. Thinking about it and being honest, like, that's not a surprise because everybody did love Nolan. Especially around here, everybody loved Nolan. So for people to repost that, they know Nolan. I mean, they know he did not have one hateful thing in his heart. And racism, no. That was a shock. That was a complete shock from his mom and from his stepdad. Like, that's a shock. That's an utter shock because it's like, first off, I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in him. You don't hear that though. You don't. So to turn it as like somebody's harping down on Nolan because of the color of his skin, you don't know us. You don't know our community. It's crazy that people are just running with a lie. And it's so easy for people to believe it from the outside, looking into Mississippi's history, per se. But it's like, you're looking at history. Let's go to each state's history. I bet they're not the best with black people. Like, people change. You learn history so you don't repeat it. Everybody knows that.
What's the craziest lie that you've seen floating around there about this situation? I know there's a lot of mysterious things, but like, what to you, what's the craziest thing that you've heard somebody say about this?
That my buddy in the photo was his lover. That was wild. That's been the utmost craziest because it's like, what? Like, where'd you get that from? Yeah. I mean, also the lies of just how racist Mississippi is or how racist the coast is and Ocean Springs. And yeah, no, you don't know this, man. Like, you have no idea. And what I thought was crazy lie from the beginning was he's the only black person on the boat. He's the only black person on the island. No, not at all. Like, not once. Like, where'd you get this background information from?
How many people are on that island from your vantage point?
On the 4th of July?
Yeah.
Thousands? 13 miles? Like, I mean, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of boats that are carrying minimum 4 to 8, 9 people. Like, I'm talking like on the lower end, man. We're talking about smaller vessels here. Man, if I had to take a rough estimate in my area of the island that I was in, 400, 500 people easy. If I'm taking an actual estimate, about 400 to 500 people easy. In our group, and the group of, I would say, young adults that were in the group of Nolan Wells, 100, 150, 200 people.
So the idea that Nolan went out with 4 white boys and they took him to a deserted island and he was allegedly last seen with a girl and they just abandoned him. What do you say to that?
No. From the time they left, including myself, and also when I left the island, I could have named 50 people I really trust behind the helm of a boat that Nolan knew, that he could go talk to. Even if he was left, there was tons and tons of people out there. There was 10 boats that camped out at Horn Island. I know a boat that didn't leave Horn Island until 8 o'clock that night. Nobody would have ever seen, nobody, I'll take that back, nobody would have ever left somebody on Horn Island. That's a place of everybody loves to go and hang out. That's their peace. Nobody wants to see anybody out there, especially in the boating community. And I can speak on that, like, genuinely. I grew up in it. That's absurd. It's absurd.
So can you help me understand the fight a little better? Because I interviewed Warren, who's your friend, and he had made mention that his brother was involved in the fight. So can you explain who actually started fighting, and were you fighting his brother or were you fighting somebody else? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, and I can see now, especially, it's all been blown out of proportion. But so originally, I'll go back a couple steps. Original, me and my girlfriend, I wouldn't even call it an argument. She was upset that I lost the lid to her koozie. I dropped it in the water. Generally speaking, that's how it started. And I dropped her lid, her new koozie, in the water. And so she started to let me hear it and basically told me I was paying for it. And she was really upset with me and mad about it. And I needed to kind of sober up a little bit. And so we're walking back. And during that time, this guy that I'm not friends with, I know of him. I don't know him. I didn't even recognize him when I got in an original fight. He had butted himself into my conversation and basically was telling me how I needed to handle or address the situation with my girlfriend. And man, we weren't even yelling at each other. We weren't arguing. It was more along the lines of, I literally told her, I was like, man, I just want a beer. And she was like, well, go get one, blah, blah, blah. Well, when I said that, she had ducked her head underwater, and he had walked up, and he told me that I needed to watch how I talked to my girlfriend. And I looked at him, and I told him, I was like, this has nothing to do with you. We're good. This has nothing to do with you. And he sat there, and he was like, well, I'm going to tell you, I better not hear it again. And I looked at him, and I was like, you need to excuse yourself from the situation. And after I came out, he swung. He threw the first punch. And we went back and forth. I remember at one point in time, I look over and I see my uncle, and my uncle's yelling at me to get in the boat. I stopped fighting. As soon as me and him made eye contact, I got in the boat, I'm sorry. And I listened to my uncle.
And what was Warren's brother involvement in this?
And so I was getting there. So when I'm on the boat and they're trying to cool me down, I'm trying to get back off the boat because I see the crowd forming up on the island. Well, my little brother and Carter are like really good friends, like best friends, I would say. He's over at our house all the time. Carter heard him still talking crap as he's getting out of the water, and I'm on the boat, and the situation is like done and over with, right? Well, he sees him talking crap, so Carter gets up, and more along the lines of defending me. And for what? He was like, well, if you got a problem with Tristan, we can handle it right here.
So what's the racial breakup of these people that are involved? So the guy that you fought was
white. I'm the only black guy involved in this whole entire thing.
Yeah.
And at all. Like, I mean, I don't know. Carter is white. The dude I got in a fight with is white. Mm-hmm. I was the only black guy involved with this. My girlfriend's white. My uncle's white. There was no other black guy involved. And I know Ben Crump tried to run with a story saying that was Nolan. Mm. Well, it was like, nice try, but there was another black guy on the island, so now your whole narrative needs to change again.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, but that was Carter's involvement, and that was kind of it. Like, after the fight, man, I remember getting off the boat. I got off the boat, and I walked up to the island, and I was telling people, I was like, hey, like, I just need to cool off, like, let me be. This is after everything is dispersed. There was no crowd anymore when I walked off the boat. And I was like, let me be. Well, again, my uncle yelled at me, and I was like, I don't care what you're doing. Get back on the boat. We're leaving. So I got back on the boat, and we left shortly after that.
Mm. And Well, at least I know you from the interviews that you've done. Some of the other boys haven't spoken out at all.
Yeah.
You've had a chance to use your voice to put the truth out there. You did an interview with, I think, ABC, and you also did an interview with the Rolling Stones.
That was my first interview, yeah, with Rolling Stone.
The first interview was Rolling Stones, then ABC?
And then ABC, yes.
Now, from what you told me before this interview is that the Rolling Stones gave you a very fair interview. It seemed like the young lady who interviewed you articulated very clearly what you told her with no fluff, no nothing added.
And she cared. She really did care. And she made sure that what she was telling was the complete truth behind everything with me, with my uncle, and then also fact checking on her side as being in media. And it all aligned, man. And when they came out with that, it was really genuine. When I felt that, it brought me to tears because it was like, that's the truth. That's exactly how it needed to be worded. And I appreciated her. I appreciated her a lot. And we took her out to Horn Island this morning to do another little bit. But she's done well, and that's the truth. Her story is nothing but the truth.
Now, ABC, on the other hand, did they treat you fairly, or how did that go?
So, I don't want to say they treated me unfairly. The quotes that he used in the article, he did ask me for my permission on it. And I gave it to him to an extent. I changed up some stuff and that he initially didn't change when he came out with it. And then the voice recording, that's really what gets me, because that's what the main people are listening to, right? They're not going in and reading in depth in the article and really seeing everything. They're just going off about what's on TV, because people don't like to read these days. But how they made that and cut a lot of my voice sounded horrible. Sounded bad. I didn't like it. I didn't like that side of it, but it already aired, so what was I gonna do? Really?
And at one point, I could have sworn you said that you didn't feel comfortable doing the interview on camera.
Yes.
And did you do that because you didn't want to be visibly promoted on television, or what? How did that?
So the side of that, and I didn't want to be on camera for two main reasons. I never wanted to do an interview and get famous. I never wanted any attention, per se, famous attention. I don't care about the negative side of it. I'm doing what I think is right. I never wanted any positive attention, let's say. All I wanted to be is for my guys to know that I had their back and I got Nolan's back. And I didn't want the investigation on, especially on social media side, I guess, and with Ben Crump and their legal team, to go down the wrong path at all. That was my sole purpose, is to tell the truth and to clear up lies. When I talked to ABC, they wanted to do an in-person interview, and I told them no. I told them no because I'm getting death threats, and I don't like them. It is what it is. I'm not putting myself out there any more than I need to. And I'm not sitting behind a camera and so for somebody to watch me talk about my best friend. And I told him, I was like, if you want to do an article, it's okay. I'll talk and you can do the article on that side of it. I never originally wanted to go on TV, period. He convinced me into only using my voice, which now I regret, and I wish I would have just sat in front of a camera so you can visibly see the cuts. But they manipulated that interview pretty well. They made it sound a lot worse. And I know for a fact, most of that interview, you can't understand me because I was in tears the entire time talking about it. When he asked me about Nolan's death, and he put it if you listen to it carefully, he cuts it and I just say die. Nobody wants to see him die. I don't talk like that, man. That's not what I said. I did say died during at one point in our interview, but I said we didn't want to see his life being taken from us, period. They didn't put that. They twisted some things around and they made they almost made a different narrative to where it's like now people are coming out and lying. And it's like, man, no.
Yeah,
And
I
I
was,
guess
I was wondering if you were gonna. I remember I was like, I could have sworn he said he didn't want to be on camera, and they put your picture all over the news. I mean, how did you feel about that? Was that something that you were okay with them doing that, or?
I kind of accepted it. I accepted it because I gave Rolling Stone permission to do it. So I know that's where they probably got that original photo of me and him standing next to each other.
But still, that's kind of weird that you tell them, oh, I don't want to, even if you gave you the permission of Rolling Stones, you go, I don't want to be on camera. And they put your picture up there on camera anyway.
I agree with you. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's odd, but I generally speaking, man, like, I'm worried about my family's safety, but I have no regrets in what I've done and what I've said. Not one. I sleep better at night now that I've spoken up and I felt like I've done my part of the good and I'm willing to help any other time if anything else pops up that I can't help with. And I genuinely just want the truth to be heard about it all. And it kills me and it breaks my heart that my best friends are going through this. Like, this is at home. This isn't something I'm just watching through a screen, listening to you talk about it or listening to somebody else talk about it. I'm living this. I'm getting the calls from my buddies crying, asking me how I'm not scared out of my mind. How am I okay dealing with all this?
So one thing that kind of stood out to me, there was a big contradiction on television, was you said in your interview that you were really, really good friends with Nolan, his best friend. Nolan's mother said on television that as if she don't even know you and she don't even know who you are, and you're definitely not, at least is what she alluded to, you're definitely not his best friend. So what's the truth in that? And how did that affect you? How did that make you feel?
So yeah, so she originally touched and she said that we weren't childhood best friends. And she's not wrong. She's not wrong. I moved to Ocean Springs in 9th grade. I met Nolan in 9th grade, as I've stated in my Rolling Stone interview. Nolan was my best friend though. She can believe it or not, that was my best friend. No, me and her never had a sit down in depth conversation like me and you're having now. It was always, hey, how are you doing? I've been to her house multiple times. I've taken Nolan to school multiple times. I've left my vehicle at her house multiple times, even including the new vehicle I just got. Has gotten left at her house for 2 days. And I just got it. I haven't even had it for 4 months. My vehicle before that stayed at her house for almost a week. Me and her son went on trips together. We went to Florida for spring break together. You don't know me? I'm in all these homecoming and prom photos as our whole friend group. Me and Nolan are standing next to each other. You don't know me. Nolan's last name is Wells. My last name at one point in time was Walker. We were by each other in the alphabet when we graduated. Man, that's mind-boggling. It's insane. Me and Nolan have multiple classes together. Me and Nolan has always stayed tight. Nolan has always known that he could call me whatever. And like I've mentioned, like I got a new phone number 2 months ago. Nolan was the only friend that had my phone number out of the friend group, and I still call them my best friends. But we communicate on other social medias. But it's like Nolan called me on the day to meet up with me on the 4th out there. But we weren't good friends. We weren't close friends. And when I say best friend, man, I don't want to take away anybody how close they were to Nolan. But when I think of a best friend, I think of Nolan. Somebody I can call, somebody that I've stayed up and I've cried to. That was one of my best friends, generally speaking. She might not think it. That's okay. Me and Nolan knows where we stand with each other. And period. And Nolan knows that.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. You know, with interviewing with me, right? You know, we came out here to Mississippi We just wanted to give the boys a voice, give you guys a voice. And out of, I'd say, all the other outlets that you could have spoken to, why do you feel that you wanted to talk to me tonight?
Honestly, I'm a big fan. I know when I look at news articles, big news articles, obviously, and then I know you talk on them, I make sure I watch the full thread of videos. I think our morals align alike, and when we spoke off camera, like it didn't seem like you were out here like another news reporter that just wanted the next big story. Like you just said, it's like you genuinely wanted us to have a platform to be able to speak and to be able to tell the truth, and that's what I like. And I know I don't know, talking to Warren and knowing Miss Katie and being close to them and them trusting you was like, okay, I can sit down, I can have this conversation, and we can go through it, and we can have the interview on camera, and people can see me, really, I guess you could say, and talk about it and whatnot.
I appreciate that. I really do. And my last question, with all this stuff going on, and you knew Nolan very well, what do you think how Nolan would feel about how this all has transpired with Benjamin Crump, with, the statements from his mom, with the accusations against you and his other friends? How would you think he would address this or feel about this?
Well, I know people like to use a term, they would turn over in his grave. If Nolan could dig himself out of his grave right now, he would. No doubt. Nolan would be livid is an understatement. Nolan would never want anything pursued this way at all. I think he would be really upset with his parents about how they went about the situation. I think he generally would. I don't think he wouldn't support it. I know that for 110%. I know he wouldn't support any of it. I think he would want the truth and he would search for answers, but he wouldn't go about it like this. He wouldn't let us get dogged out like this. If Nolan could have spoke up, he would have already said something about our friend group and saying, yo, y'all are on the wrong path. Generally speaking, he would be mad. Like, he would be mad. And I don't understand how people don't see that and how people are just okay with even some of his, I guess you could say, other best friends, man, how they were coming out and how they're acting behind it. It's like, man, Nolan was never like that. Nolan was an aggressive, threatening person. Don't get me wrong, Nolan would defend himself if he needed to defend himself. Nolan was loving and kind. Nolan was the furthest thing from a fight. Furthest thing from a fight. And I remember personally, I was in a heated argument and Nolan comes up cracking a joke and I'm like, bro, it's not even worth it. Like, come on. And it's like, that just shows his character wouldn't be like this. I know he wouldn't want people chanting at his funeral. I know that for a fact. I know nobody would want me or the rest of our friends to get dragged through like this. I know he would want all of us to feel comfortable going to that funeral, and all of us didn't because we're scared. And that says a lot. That says a lot. We're scared to go in our own town to who we called our best friend. We're all over his socials, man. Like, I don't know how you're discrediting and thinking that we could have hurt him. We could have known somebody that hurt him. Because like I told everybody, I would put myself in whatever position he was in 100 times before I let him pass away. And I mean that. I genuinely mean that. That dude, he was so loving and so kind. It was just wild. It's crazy. It's wild and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having the courage, man, to come down here and talk to us, give us, your point of view. And I say this, like I said to Warren, man, my whole objective is that, man, I was watching an injustice happen before my eyes. And an injustice meaning that the other side wasn't presented. And people that don't live here came into this town and shook it up, brought racism in it. And based on everybody's statement that I hear about Nolan, is that they didn't represent what he stood for.
No.
And they bastardized his character, in my opinion, this is my opinion, to make money and build a GoFundMe instead of trying to actually get to the bottom of what happened to him. And none of this have I seen any of the activists pursue what actually happened. Somebody could have seen something, and instead they're going after dead ends simply because of race, simply because of convenience, instead of pursuing any other lead or any other notion of somebody knowing what happened to Nolan. So I thank you for coming out here, man. It took a lot of courage, putting your face out there, putting your name out there, putting the statements out there. Some people are gonna be mad at you, but I'll tell you, like I told Warren and all the other boys, is that I got your back, man. You tell them the truth. I appreciate that. You being a good man, doing what's right. I got your back, man. And I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.